Hello, I'm Jody Wolf, and you're watching Expoz, December 7, 2016, 12:40 a.m. And I apologize. I started to tell you something on the last blog, and I didn't. I got sidetracked, and I've never done that before. I was telling you about the person I'd talked to, and we were talking about going to church. And this person invited me to their church, and I did a kind of respectfully declined, and not completely. I mean, I'll go at one point, but I told this person why, and it shocked me when I told her why, and she said, "I don't even know what you're talking about." We were talking about, I was talking about, we have a lot of work to do. The Christians in this country, we need to witness to people. We need to find ways that get people excited, interested in the greatest book in history. And hey, anyway, I'll get there. This person asked me to go to church with them, and I said, "Well, I will sometime." But I've been going with a buddy of mine. I used to play golf a lot, and when I was on the police department, we had every Tuesday that on a private club, which was literally 400 yards from the police department, and we'd go up, tee off about 8:30 to 9 a.m. and we would play to dark. And we played a lot of holes. Anyway, one of the men that we played with, good friend of mine, his brother was a sergeant on the police department, and he was a federal employee. I won't tell you what he did, but he cussed. Every time he'd miss a shot, he would GD, GD. And when he'd say that, there was me and another guy that was Christian. We started getting on him about that, and said when he would start saying "gee," we'd say "bless." We'd yell out "bless" every time. And really, after about a year, he started "God bless, God bless." Well, it's getting better. And due to circumstances, I took another job to build some houses for someone. I had 44 houses at one place, 16 at another. And so I started doing that, and I didn't realize it would just eat up my time, and it did. And but this person, we stay in touch. He's one of my best friends. We talk all the time. He called me about 6 weeks ago and said, "Hey, won't you come to church with me?" And I like, "Church? Sure. Where are you going?" He said, "Well, it's so and so up here." And I said, "I'll come. What time?" He said, "Can you be there at 8 o'clock?" I said, "I sure can." I got there, and he was outside waiting for me at 5 till, and my buddy, and we went in, and I sat down, and he walked up front and stood on the podium, and I kind of looked at, what is he doing up there? He said, "Well, for you that do know, it's not a surprise. For you who don't know," he said, "this is my first day as pastor at this church." And I like fell out of my seat. And he taught the Bible as the Bible needs to be taught. And I was extremely proud of him, very happy with him. And I loved it. I love him. He's my friend. He's in his I'm 67, he's 73. And but then this other person asked me, very close to me, to come to their church. And I said, well, look, let me tell you about mega churches, because it is a mega church that they're talking about. I said, y'all have a Starbucks? Why, yeah. I said, well, I thought so. You got a donut counter? Yeah, we got that. I said, how about sausage, egg, and cheese? Yeah, we got that. I said, how about altar calls? And she said, what? I said, how about altar calls? She said, what's an altar call? I'm sorry, I said she. They said, what's an altar call? I said, you don't know what an altar call is? They said, no, I've never heard of that. I said, that's why I can't go to that church. I said, I need to go to a church that preaches the word, the whole word. And some of you know the name Tom Owen. If you don't know Tom Owen, YouTube Tom Owen, the human speed bump from Birmingham, Alabama. He also held many records, 5 Guinness Book of World Records, and I'm in one of them because I was a driver of the last and final vehicle over him, which was a 22,000-pound moving van. Prior to that, 7 trucks would drive over him, and then the last was the big one. That was me. And but Tom Owen, you can find him, and you can see all kinds of feats and records and things that he did. Put a bit in his mouth, big leather bit, and bit on it, and hooked it around his neck so that if it slipped out of his mouth, it at least caught his neck. And he pulled 3 cars tied together, or actually 3 trucks tied together with his teeth. Things like this. He won Mr. Senior America at age 60, and today he's been attacked by someone that went off the rocker. I won't tell you who it was, and it hurt him bad, and brain injury that gave him almost overnight dementia that's leading into other things. So he's off the grid now. I think he's in Houston, Texas with his daughter, but no one knows where. And this man, he and I invited him to church, and I introduced him to people. The kind of nice guy he is. He started the Alabama Youth Home back in the 70s. I met him when I was a cop in the police department. My wife knew him. She was a good friend. She owned a beauty shop. She also was a certified skin diver and went on dive trips and hosted dive trips. And she was a model on cruises, free cruises that she would model 2 times. So, a beautiful woman. And she passed away in 99 by doctor's errors. But that's when I stopped church just for a while, about 3 or 4 months, started going back, and then I got Tom Owens going again, and we were both interested. Then all of a sudden one day, I didn't hear an altar call. Then the church moved to a different location, only a mile away, and I started going there about 6 months after they opened. No altar calls. I went there probably about 12, 15, 18 times. I never heard an altar call. Last time I went, I got up and walked out, and I didn't turn my back. I didn't go back. Churches I go to, if they don't have an altar call, I'm not interested. They're not preaching the Bible today, people. These mega churches are all Joel Osteen churches. They have coffee and donuts. They have sausage biscuits, but they don't have altar calls. They don't tell you how you can accept Christ as your Lord and Savior. That is an altar call at the end of a service that preaches the true Bible, the real Bible, the good and the bad. And the bad makes you feel that you're not safe. And then they have an altar call, and the people that really get the feel of what they're really preaching, they're guilty. We're all guilty. And they head up front to an altar call. And I've been to so many churches, and I like to re-up it every time I go. And that day my best buddy preached. He had an altar call. I was the first one up there. Just want to tell you, altar calls are very important in churches. If they don't have one, and if you know the pastor well enough, ask him if he would please start them. You got to have an invitation to come up and accept Christ. You don't need to do it in church. You can do it at home in your closet. Close the door. In 1 minute, you can walk out saved. You can walk out and not be afraid of tomorrow. Just John 3:16 says it all. Jody Wolf, Expoz.